Algebra 1, Lesson 75, writing the equation of a line and the slope-intercept method of graphing. So, to write an equation of a line, first thing we have to cover are these straight or non-sloping lines, these perfectly vertical or perfectly horizontal lines that run perfectly up and down and perfectly left and right. So these lines are pretty simple. If we look back at our Cartesian coordinate system, where's my focus? Here we go. No, that looks not like a Y. There we go. All right, so we have the x-axis, we have the y-axis. And then here I've drawn line A and I've drawn line B. Now, the thing to remember is on vertical and horizontal lines, you need to look at what axis the line actually touches. So let's look at line A. If I run along line A, does it touch the y-axis? No, it's perfectly parallel. It's never going to touch y. Does it touch x? Yes. In fact, at x, it always has a value of 1, 2, 3, 4. It is always 4. X is always 4 on line A. And so that's what the equation of line A is. Line A is simply the equation x equals 4. All right, now let's go to line B, because we're going to see the exact opposite. We go across line B, and does line B ever touch the x-axis? No, it does not. They run parallel. They are never going to touch. However, we do see that it does intersect with the y-axis. Now the question is where on the y-axis? So here is origin, 0, 0, and then we count down 1, 2, and line B is always 2 on y. So the equation for line B is going to be y equals negative 2. Sorry, I think I said positive 2. Y is always negative 2, so negative 1, negative 2. And that's the equation of line B. So to find vertical and horizontal lines, find what axis they touch, and then find the value on that axis. And then x equals 4, or y equals negative 2. So all horizontal lines will always be y's, because they never touch x. All vertical lines will always be x's, because they never touch y. So that's horizontal and vertical lines. Let's talk about slanted lines. And I'm going to redraw my board in a second. All right, so now we need to find the equation of this slanted line. Now, in order to find the equation of the slanted line, we have to fill in the equation y equals mx plus b, which is the general equation of the slope, or the general form of the point intercept. I'm all tongue-tied today. Let's just write things down. We have to find y equals mx plus b. In order to fill in this equation, we specifically have to solve for the m and the b values. M being slope, and b is equal to the y-intercept. Y-intercept meaning the point that the line touches the y-axis. So, finding b is not very difficult. All I have to do is trace the line, and when it hits y, I have to find out what the value of y is. So if I start from 0, I've got 1, 2, 3. So the y-intercept equals, well, not y, the y-intercept equals 3, or b equals 3. So in the equation, y equals mx plus b, I can go ahead and replace b with positive 3. So I know part of the equation now. Now the only thing I need to find is m, or my slope. And slope, or m, is equal to the rise over the run. What that means is I'm going to find 2 dots on this graph. Okay? So I want to trace the line. I want to find 2 definite intersections where the line absolutely crosses an intersection. One is right here, or I want to find 2 definite points on the line. So this point is 0, 3, and then the next one I see is right here. So this next point I see crosses perfectly. Now I'm not choosing this one or this one because they don't land perfectly on a corner. This one does. This one is 2, 0. So these are the 2 points I'm going to choose. And then to find the rise over the run, I'm going to count how many spaces it rises between these 2 points. Now, does it rise or does it fall? It actually falls. So that's going to give me a negative rise. So instead of going up, I'm going to go down. 1, 2, 3. So I rose -3. So the rise is equal to -3. Now, how far do I run? How far left or right do I go? I go right 1, 2. So that gives me +2. Now, if I went left, that would give me a negative. All right. So I'm going to count positive. So positive and negative are the same as far as the y and the x-axis. If you go down, it's negative. If you go up, it's positive. If you go right, it's positive. If you go left, it's negative. So my rise over my run is -3/2, which is equal to my slope, or m, is equal to -3/2. So I can plug that into this equation, -3/2. And that gives me the final equation of my line, which is y equals -3/2x plus 3. All right, that's it for finding the equations of lines. Now let's talk about graphing using the slope-intercept method. I think you guys will really like this. Okay, so for slope-intercept method graphing, we have this equation, y equals -3/5 x plus 2. And we need to graph this. Now, normally you guys would want to set up an x and y table and plug numbers in, right? And get, a minimum 3 points to find the line. We are not going to do that. That is I forget what graphing method that's called. That's the slower method. What we're going to use in the point slope method is we're going to use our knowledge of this number and this number, being the m, or the slope, and then the b, or the y-intercept. Now, what we learned was that this whole number at the end, this b, is where the line crosses the y-axis. So I know at +2 on y, my line is going to go through that point right there. Now, if you remember, how many points do we need to draw a line? 2, and then 3 to be sure. So what we can then use is our knowledge of m, or the slope, which is the rise over the run, which we have -3 over +5. Or you could say +3 over -5. So let's go ahead and we'll do both of those, because again, I want to get 3 points. So let's do -3 over 5, and then we'll do +3 over -5. So let's start from this point, and let's do -3. 1, 2, 3, and then +5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives me my second point. Now I could graph here, but I want 3 to be sure. So let's do this one. Let's go 1, 2, 3, and then -5, which takes me left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I now have 3 points, and we can see they're going to make a straight line. So I'll go ahead and take my straight edge, and I will draw my straight line. And that's it. That's how you graph using slope-intercept method. It's more knowledge-based and less work-based. So if you have any questions, let me know on Moodle, and I will see you in class.